And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that brutal OST because we have returned with the semifinals of the Korean StarCraft League week number 38. We just wrapped up with a couple of those quarterfinals matches, and they were a lot of fun. Again, big shout out to some of the players that did end up falling there. You know, Coffee and Cyan did pose a threat to Nightmare and Classic, but weren't able to stop them. And now we are here in the semifinals. Classic just took down Coffee, and now he's up against Cure in those semis in another PvT. The PvTs, they do continue at least for now. Again, after this series, we will be getting into Dark versus Nightmare in a ZVP. So if you want some Zerg action, we have yet to feature a Zerg here tonight, but we will get into that after this series does conclude. So we'll get there. We'll get there. We at least have one of each race here in the semis. And here we go. This is going to be quite a brutal one as well. Earlier, Classic was the favorite player coming into that best of 3 against Coffee, but here in this PvT, a little bit less so. Cure arguably has some of the best Terran versus Protoss in the world. This is where he thrives, as he is one of the best Terrans in South Korea. But here we go in the top left-hand corner of Hard Lead. We have the South Korean Protoss player representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. And Cure, newly acquired player on Team Liquid. I say newly acquired. It's been like a month or so since he's been on the team, and it's been great to see him thrive as well, and of course be incorporated into the team, compete for them in WTL. Oh, looks like there was a bit of a pause at some point in this game, but thankfully, did clear up in the end. Oh, now that we're coming back from the break, just to reiterate as well, this is a replay cast. I spoke about it earlier, but the events of this tournament did take place on Saturday. Unfortunately, we were unable to cover this live because we had just wrapped up the IEM European closed qualifiers, and it was a long qualifier. It lasted 6 hours. I was not expecting it to last that long, and I was just completely worn out after the European qualifiers. I passed out. By the time I woke up, the KSL was already underway, so I did have to get some rest because WTL was starting up in a couple of hours at the time, so we had to cast World Team League. It means that we missed out on KSL Live, but that is why we are here to catch up via those replays. We'll see how this all did turn out. For now, the probe does get across the map. It's going to be a little bit of an annoyance here, but the SCV does manage to throw down that CC just in time. We get our base up and running. Again, a Rax Expand economic opener here out of Cure, not going double gas. Very common here amongst the Koreans. Players like Cure, Beyond, Maru, more often than not, they do just go for more economic-based openers. Previously in the meta, you know, a year ago, for example, double gas openers were a lot more commonplace in the previous map pool, even 2 map pools ago, but that has since changed. As likewise, Classic going for his own Gate Cyber Expand. Everything is by the book so far. Everything is as it should be. Now, previously we saw Classic open up Blink, open up Twilight Council every game against Coffee, and likewise we have a Twilight Council on the low ground. It is going to be spotted by the Reaper. Cure, he sees all, he knows all, he's aware of the potential Blink. What he doesn't know is how many gateways. For the time being, currently unaware of how many gateways are going to be on the way. We don't know either. But eventually he's going to have to try to pivot back into the main base to get a read on how aggressive or how economic Classic is being. Likewise, behind this, we do have the Adept getting across the map. Going to be denying mining time here at the Natural. Hellion is on the way, and we are getting into a 1-1-1. Similarly to the previous game, we should be seeing a Hellion into Widow Mines for a bit of a mine drop. A big role for that, or a big reason for that, is just going to be for scouting information, but we'll see if that's going to be the case, as a Hellion has arrived, and there it is, the mines are on the way. Once we get a couple of extra Marines, we should be able to deal with this Adept, and there we go, the Adept is forced out. We can go back to mining here at the Natural base. Behind this, Classic investing into the rest of his tech. We have a Robo second gateway on the way. There's a third gateway, so 3-gate Blink for the time being. And yeah, Classic, he seems to be quite fond of this. I mean, it's a very comfortable opener. As we mentioned before, it's not overly aggressive, likewise not overly greedy. You know, it's just right, just down the middle. And with this, Classic is going to be feeling pretty comfortable here Good Sim City. He does have basically a full wall off with one unit in position. Means that the Hellions cannot get into the natural. They should not get into the natural. Meanwhile, there's our mine drop being set up. 2 winter mines alongside the medevac as we do zoom across the map. Cure looking for scouting information more than anything, bearing in mind that killing workers here is a bonus for these winter mines. More importantly, they're just trying to get a read on how many gateways and on the follow-up tech as well. Additional gases, additional upgrades, Dark Shrine. Cure's just looking for information. Stalkers, meanwhile, are in position. We have 5 Stalkers here in the main. Likewise, War Prism is on the way as well. Cure, he does see the army, he does spot these Stalkers, so the drop is going to be stuck here outside the main base. At the same time, Hellions, they try to test the waters here at the natural, whether we have a full wall off, we have an Adept in position, but we do get eyes on the pylon. This is a tell that Classic intends to expand. This is a tell that this is not a 4 gates. You still expand with 4 gates, but the expansion is a little bit later. Regardless, we saw the gateways here on the low ground, so Cure is getting ready for Blink Stalkers. We have a bunker on the low ground, we have a tank in the high ground as well. Cure, he is ready to receive. Hellion does spot the move out. Job still not pulling the trigger. Cure still working on that second tank though. So a little bit of a vulnerable situation here where Cure only has 1 tank in between his 2 bases. SCV does confirm the location of the army. Our boys are being pulled. We have to go for the repair. 2 SCVs go down, and so far we are holding on at the same time. Ooh, did have the Hellion dive in. Widowmine still waiting to go into the main as well. So far, Cure is holding, but we are forcing a lot of lost mine time here with these SCVs. Mine drop, we're still trying to find a way in. Still unable to. The second tank has arrived. Suddenly the defense is looking a little bit easier, and there we go. We go back to mining. We have 1 tank for each base. We have the bunker, Marines, they're rotating over. Meanwhile, Classic is going straight for the mineral line. Yeah, straight for the main base. SCVs are going down. Tank a little bit too far back, a little bit out of range. The boys have to be pulled away. That's going to be 2 dead SCVs for now. At the same time, we dive onto the low ground. We dive onto the tank. A big pick off there for Classic. And Cure, he is being pulled apart. Adepts, they shade in. Uh-oh. Bunker's going to be going down. There is no repair. We should eventually clean this up, but losing the tank is huge. And we're getting even more workers here in the natural. So far, 6, 7, 8 dead SCVs. 9 even. You on the main base, the War Prism's still alive, still threatening a dive. Widowmine still looking for a way in, but Classic has been quite vigilant here with his army. He blinks, he sees, he keeps up. And Cure is on the back foot. Now, specifically, because 1 tank went down, that means that the eventual push, like, eventually this army's going to be moving out across the map, but with 1 less tank, and that is impactful. Pick up another SCV. Widowmine still not able to make it into that main base. Cure now is able to keep up, but did lose a lot of SCVs in the process. 3rd CC is on the way, so Cure is not all in. We do have a Viking in production to help deal with these, with this War Prism. But behind all of this, Classic, he's fully saturated, or getting fully saturated on 3 bases. Robot production well underway. Colossus, Exenthomal Lance. Classic, he's looking comfortable. And finally, Cure is breaking free. We go for a scan, we get eyes on, I think the Colossus has it, just barely know as it pops out. But Cure, he has to do some counter damage. He has to get something done here. We have Stim, we have Combat Shields, we have +1 and Concussive Shell. The Colossi in between the bases, but we Stim in! We're going straight for the mineral line, straight for the probes. And we're going to be able to get some at least. There we go, 4 workers go down, 5 even. And we pick up, we get the hell out of there. Not too bad. Only losing a handful of units. That was 3 Marines for 5 probes. The mine drop still not able to find a way in. The drop though. Classic, he's looking to hunt it down. Looks like he will be able to get at least 1 medevac, a full medevac as well. Ay, ay, ay. The punish is real. Suddenly, both medevacs go down. This drop was not worth it here for Cure. Still up against the wall. And Classic is just all over him. How many Colossi do we have? We're up to 3. We've hit critical mass. 3 Colossi have hit the field. And this means that Classic, he will not allow Cure to expand. Cure, he's trying to take a third base. Classic doesn't have to push into the natural. All he has to do is contain his opponent and deny the third over and over again. Meanwhile, fourth is on the way. Classic, he has momentum. He has map control. He has his 3 Colossi. We have a Templar Archives behind this for Storm, for Archons. We're actually pushing in. The Unsiege! No shot. The tanks, they were unsieged at the wrong moment. Tanks are going to be going down. We have an anti-armor missile on the Colossus. No disables. No interference matrix, unfortunately. Yeah, the tank count was reset. We take down the Viking as well. And without tanks, Classic, he can push in. He can commit. He can dive into the natural base. For now, picking up some depots, denying the CC. And GG gets called. Cure, he knows that there's no way out of this. And Classic takes game number 1. Ooh, GG. Oh my god. Very nice play there from Classic, and yeah, he just was all over Cure there when it came to his, of course, initial Blink Stalker harass, when it came to keeping up with the Widowmine drop. Remember, we were never able to unload those Widowmines. We tried desperately, multiple times. We looked over, and Cure, he was just trying to pivot around, rotate around, trying to unload in some kind of mineral line, but no damage was dealt. Likewise, the amount of damage that he sustained was just becoming too much. It was 9 SCV kills, a tank as well. It was already some brutal losses there for Cure, and he wasn't really able to reciprocate that damage. And when he tried to break free, when he tried to go for the drop, he was punished for it. Oh, GG. Again, really solid game there from Classic. And now we're getting into game number 2. Gonna be on Oceanborn. Let's go. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the Red Protoss representing Twisted Minds. Leading the series 1-0, it is Classic. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player representing Team Liquid. Down in the series, he needs to fight back here and now. It is Cure. That is an early SCV. That should be leading into an eBay block here from our Terran player. Okay, this is a very powerful move here on Oceanborn. A very common move on Oceanborn as well as, no, it's not an eBay. We're just going straight for the racks. Never mind. I didn't notice that we hadn't thrown down that racks back at home, so we're going for a proxy in the natural base of Classic. Again, Cure having a really hard time in the mid-game against our Protoss player, so we're avoiding the mid-game entirely here, looking to gain a lead early on. So Reapers are looking to snowball out of control. This is going to be a very tense moment here for Classic once the first Reaper does reveal itself. Meanwhile, Classic going for the expansion. Or getting ready for the expansion even. Cure looking to turn the tables here on his opponent. But now it's going to be a Gate Cyber into Nexus. And we'll see if Classic does end up checking his natural base. But now the Rax is finishing. Classic not going to be checking though. Goes to the expand. Here comes that first Reaper. Now this SCV is going to be sticking around for a bunker. We should be seeing a bunker behind the mineral line to deny mining time as well. First Reaper should be going for the main base, looking for rope kills. And once the first unit comes out, the Reaper is going to be zoned back towards the natural base and wreaking havoc here as well. We still don't see... Oh god, finally we do get eyes on the bunker. We try to get on top of it as well. How good is the control of the RNG for Cure? There we go, the Reaper has arrived. This bunker will finish. Stalker being chroned out as we speak. We need that Stalker ASAP. But before that happens, we're going for the mineral line. We're going for some rope kills. Classic has to be very careful, has to pull back those weakened probes. So far, does lose a second probe and a third. Ay, this is becoming a bit too much. Reaper does rotate back towards the natural. And again, we've killed 3 workers, and now we deny mining here at the natural base as well. We're going for the SCV. Go for that SCV. Does barely survive. Behind this, we have a factory. Cyclone production has commenced. Cure's looking to snowball out of control, and there's a lot of potential in this Cyclone. Again, Oceanborn has a very short rush distance by ground. Cure looking to take advantage of that. Classic trying to camp the production even. And he should be able to get the Marine. Up! The Marine makes it! The Marine does make it in. I can't say the same for the Reaper. The Reaper was shut down. There we go. Cyclone is on the way. This Nexus is taking some damage. We don't have a shield battery. Uh-oh. No shield battery available. That Rack's taking a lot of damage. But again, the Cyclone is on the way. This is becoming too much. Stalker's trying to soak some of that damage. You do have a fourth Stalker on the way. Probes are being focused down. And with the help of this Cyclone, we can go for the Stalkers. We go for the probes even. Racks will fall. Cyclone did distract those Stalkers for a moment. Yeah, well, more damage is being done. The probes are being pulled into the bunker. Looks like the Cyclone barely does survive. The probes are going down. That's going to be 5, 6 more probes. And this is getting out of hand. Far too out of hand. The bunker will finally burn down. No salvage. Meanwhile, the Cyclone, no shot. Second Cyclone arrives. We take down the Stalker. We're down to 2 Stalkers left. 2 Stalkers are remaining. Warp gate is done. We can only warp in 1 unit. Sorry, 3 units at a time. We're going for maybe even harass, actually. Okay, we do clean this up. We save the Nexus. We save the natural. Classic. Wants to turn this on its head. There we go. We have the warping across the map. He wants to try to be aggressive himself, but Kiri comes across the pylon. Comes across the pylon. These Stalkers are taking a lot of damage already. We get 1. We get 2 Stalkers. And both Cyclones make it out. Good control there. Again, very fortunate that Kira was able to see the warp in. Very good trades. He does pull back. We get the repair. Behind this, getting into a CC, getting into a 1-1-1 setup. Sorry, 2-1-1 setup. Cloak Banshee's on the way. And economically, Classic, he is hurting. Ideally, the Protoss player wants to be ahead in probes. But it's not the case. Oh. The Cyclone taking a lot of hits. You have to be careful. Stalker's breaking through that front door. Tank getting sieged. Yeah, with the arrival of this tank, the Stalkers have to back off. You have to respect it. Again, the Cloak Banshees are on the way. The bold move. We're going for the Cyclone drop. In the face of this army, in the face of all these Stalkers, we're still going for the drop anyway. A very risky move here from Cure. At the same time, the Banshees are moving out. Classic backs off. Again, if the Cyclones were here alongside the tank, Classic knows that he can't really push into this. So he does retreat in the end. Which means the Cyclones are going to wreak havoc here in the mineral line. Doesn't take too many hits at all to kill probes. Immediately 2 workers go down, 4 workers go down. And we're going to get 6. 7 even. Ay, ay, ay. And again, we don't have Blink. Don't have Blink. Don't have a way to keep up. And we're not done. That's 7 dead workers. Classic trying to go for a 3rd base. Meanwhile, here comes the Cloak Banshee. And we do not have detection, by the way. Oh, no. No detection is available. Robo is I mean, we have a forge for cannons, I guess. We can maybe throw down some cannons. Eventually, we'll have an observer when this Robo finishes. But until then, here comes the Banshee. We're going straight for the Stalkers even. Oh, my God. Medevac goes down. We get the Stalkers. And the Banshee can go ham on this army. Oh, actually, sorry. We canceled Cloak. My mistake. Cloak was on the way, but we canceled it. Oh, my God. If we didn't, we could have gone ham. We could No, not gonna lie, Cloak was so close to finishing, but Cure, he opts to cancel it in the end, which means Classic, he's holding onto his main base. Is making cannons. I'm pretty sure Classic, he may have seen. Did he? Yeah, he did see the researching tech lab. So maybe that's why Cure decided to cancel. Cannons are on the way. Classic believing he needs the cannons, and really he doesn't. So in a way, damage is being done, but there could have been a little bit more. Just saying. As Cure is setting up on 2 bases. I'm loving the safety turret as well. So in case there are DTs, Dark Templar, Cure to be ready for it. Being stable here on 2 bases. 3 tanks are already up and running, going for a medevac drop towards the main. Classic. Do we have much at home? We have 1 Stalker left back at home. And we're investing everything else here in the push. Charge is just now finishing up. But the Sim City, Oh my god, not just the SimCity, but the positioning of the tanks as well. These chargers, they cannot push in. They can deny a third, but they cannot break into the natural. And we may force a recall. Yeah, the observer does see the wall. Immediately, Classic, he backs off. Drop is coming in. Not quite, we do pull back. Classic looking for another angle of attack. We go for the scan, we get eyes on the missing army, which means we can go right for those probes. I'm loving the angle of attack as well. No way to evacuate. Probes being forced over towards the left-hand side. We force a recall as well, and we drop into the main. Cure looking to pull apart his opponent. Classic, remember, he skipped Blink to go into charge. 6 dead workers. Meanwhile, because of the recall, that means that Cure can expand. He can take this third base. It's a delayed third from Cure, but, you know, eventually he can get it up and running. As Classic is pushing out once again. Remember, recall is on cooldown, in case he ever does need it again. He's keeping his stalkers back at home. Should be okay. Observer is spotted. Classic threatening a counterattack. Cure is going to be pulling back. As he moves out, the pylon does spot the army. We're going for the Zealot counterattack, but we have tanks in position. We have our tanks. We're going to try to bypass them, going the long way around here because of the wall. Oh my god. The SimCity is brutal. Good hold position micro here on the SCVs, forcing some friendly fire though. Oh my god, a lot of SCVs are going down. The tanks killing workers. Not like this, but we're committed to the attack. And there's no splash damage, forcing the overcharge. The tanks killed more workers than the Zealots, I'll be honest there. I mean, Sorry, the tanks killed more SCVs than the Zealots, is what I meant to say. Meanwhile, good kiting here again. There's just not much here to defend. Zealots, they get annihilated by the bio. We're hitting with +1 with Stim. We're getting on top of the army. Overcharge did run out. And GG gets called. Cure looking to tie up this series, looking to force the ace match. GG. GG, well played. We are going the distance. We're going all the way to game 3, which is what we expect between these two players. Again, Classic and Cure, they're some of the best of their respective races in Korea, so we expect it to go to the ace match, not to be a one-sided series. And which way will it go? Whew. As we are getting into game 3. Here we go. We are loading on in. Again, that last game, Cure doing a great job just keeping that hidden, keeping the proxy hidden and snowballing out of control. Classic also, to be fair, not taking that proxy too seriously. If you remember, he didn't go for your typical shield battery to defend your natural, which meant that that bunker survived for so much longer than it otherwise would. So a bit of a greedier response there from Classic, was punished for it. But here we go. We're getting into game number 3, the ace match. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkyone, we have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Twisted Minds. It is Classic. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player, the red Terran representing Team Liquid. It is Cure. Here we go. Oh my god, and Cure this time is going to be doubling down. Game number 2. Oh no, he gets scouted! No shot. This time committing to a proxy 2 racks, but he gets shut down, and that's it. GG gets called. Oh, not like this. This is not how it's meant to end, and just like that. Oh my god, Cure risking it all on a proxy 2 racks, gets scouted immediately. Feels bad, man. And just like that, Classic advances on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. The power of the probe, the power of scouting. And I mean, it makes sense for Classic to scout as well, especially after game 2, right? Like game 2, he was proxy racks. So, you know, that was on the mind. He was checking. He does come across it. He shuts it down. And yeah, especially if we're committing to a proxy 2 racks like that, very difficult to recover from. Very difficult. And GG. GG, well played. It ended before it really began. I feel like we were robbed a little bit. I feel like we were robbed a little bit of a good game between these two. I would have loved to have like sunk my teeth into a solid mid game between Cure and Classic. It would have been amazing, would have been beautiful. Unfortunately, not something that we're getting here. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. But at the same time, it's, you know, it's the risk you take when you go for a proxy like that. It is the risk you take. GG. GG, well played. Classic advances on. He's the first player to advance on to the grand finals, and he's going to be facing off against the winner of our next series. It's either going to be Dark or Nightmare. Let's go. Let us go. New Cyclone, OP. I like the new Cyclone. I think it has its place. We've seen it pop off from time to time, like I think in Home Story Cup, right, or even before that. Like we've seen Mass Cyclone tear Zerg players apart at times. We've seen Cyclones have their place in a lot of matchups actually. I think TvT, it's pretty interesting. We see where we commit up to like 10 Cyclones in Terran versus Terran, just because if you slow down in Cyclone production, you can die. We've seen that a lot between Cure and Clem, for example, or Bunny as well, and Björn. So Cyclones are a big part of early game TvT, and against Protoss as well, they're pretty important in the early game, just to defend and also harass as well. Mass Cyclone isn't really a thing against Protoss, but you know, a couple of Cyclones early on do keep you safe. Oh, and give you some aggressive potential. But now we're getting into our next matchup. No Cyclones here, only Protoss and Zerg as we load into game one, as we load into Alcyone. Let's go.